What's a harmless prank to play on your friends? After they leave your place, text them you forgot your phone here. Bonus point if you take a picture of their phone on your kitchen table before they leave and send it with the text. Duct tape a harmonica to the grill of your BFF's car. When your loved ones hit 40 miles per hour, they'll hear beautiful wailing sounds reminiscent of Neil Young. My roommate and I are slowly purchasing frog decorations and just toy frogs in general and seeing how long it takes our other roommate to notice that things are slowly becoming frogs. Steal something innocuous, like a pair of distinct socks from their dresser. Mail it to your most remote acquaintance. Have your acquaintance mail it back to your friend without explanation. Ultimately harmless, but their confusion after receiving something of their own in the mail from someone they've never met from a place they've never been is delicious. If you're in a position to do it, make them a celebrity for a day. When I was a grad student, we did this to one of our professors. About a dozen of us coordinated to offer our students in freshman composition extra credit if they went up to one of our professors and pretended he was a celebrity and asked for his autograph, get a picture taken with him, etc. We made sure to give them all his schedule for the day, let him know where his office was, and just let them loose. He got stopped dozens of times to sign autographs and take pictures. It irritated the hell out of him, but he appreciated the joke. For my friend's 30th birthday, I updated the autocorrect option on her home laptop that whenever she typed in her name, it corrected to old lady. You evil genius. All the scrolling for good comments is worth it, it seems. If they spend time on their computer, download the Nick Cage Chrome extension. It replaces every picture with one of Nick Cage. That's it. Pulled this one on my mom one time, and she thought we got hacked for a little bit. I had totally forgot that I did that. Edit. Thanks for the upvotes. And I am now aware of multiple extensions that achieve the same effect. Such as 1, one that rickrolls people at random YouTube videos. 2, the one that changes Cloud to bot 3, and one that changes millennials to snake people. Also, as some of the replies say, don't do this on a schoolwork computer. You don't want to get in trouble. Grab a couple photos from around their house and snap a good well-centered picture with your phone. Then Photoshop something fun into the background, such as a dinosaur, Bigfoot, Elvis, or even just add yourself to a bunch of their photos. Reprint the new version of the picture in the same dimensions. Next time you're around, slip it into the frame over top the original, so long as you don't damage the original. It can be a fun game of see how long until they notice. And X200B. Edit. Fixed a typo. On April Fools a few years ago, I wore my name tag upside down at work. Whenever a club member brought it to my attention, I glanced down at it, looked up confused, and said it looks right side up to me. I put a browser extension on my co-worker's computer that gave it a 1% chance of loading a John Cena video every time he loaded a website. It would happen once or twice a day. It drove him nuts. On his last day, I walked into his office playing John Cena's walk-up music, which he immediately turned off. When I explained it to him, his only reaction was, "I'm so impressed." A friend of mine sent unmarked postcards featuring different chimpanzees to me about once a week for more than a year. They all had the same message. Having a great time. Wish you were here. Love. Me. They all misspelled my name in different ways. They came from all over the world. She'd coordinated with a bunch of people she knew internationally. It got to the point where I saw my letter carrier, and he'd shake his head and ask, "Another one?" I never figured out who was sending them until she fessed up. "I know this is a Banak Ladies song. I believe that was the inspiration." We have an Alexa at my work. One of my co-workers set an alarm to go off on a day I was at work and she wasn't. At 9 AM it started blasting Baby Shark. Scared the ever-living hell out of me. My old boss did this to his wife just before I moved out of state, except it was while she was home alone and it was Celine Dion's "My Heart Will Go On" through the whole house. Back in college I went to Vegas. While I was there I collected hundreds of those cards they hand out on the strip for call girls escorts. When I got home I put these cards everywhere in my roommate's car. I put most of them on the seats and the floors. But I also hid them in the trunk, under the floor mats, under the seats, in the glove box, in the gas lid. Basically every nook I could think of. He thought the initial cleaning up of the ones on the seats and floors was the end of it. Nope. He was finding these cards for years. And every time he did he'd send me a picture of it. It was great. I always enjoyed putting sticky notes over the laser on their computer mouse and watching them try to figure out why it isn't responding. I did this with a coworker once and it was hilarious. Instead of a sticky note I taped a picture of a troll face over the laser. I listened to him make frustrated grumbles to himself for several minutes while I was trying to keep it together. When he finally turned his mouse over he yelled, "Dang it haunted," I screamed from across the room, at which point we both lost it. It's an excellent, harmless prank. Definitely recommend. Somebody once signed me up for a bunch of free magazine subscriptions. It was several years ago and I still have no idea who it was. One day I started receiving a bunch of random magazines, from home gardening to crochet ones, all in my name. I did this to my friend, a grown-ass man getting 3 different subscriptions to youth equestrian magazines. Still haven't confessed. And he brings it up from time to time. Leave a random object on their doorstep during the night. If it confuses them enough, it may mildly bother them for the rest of their life. Then tell them it's crows bringing them trinkets. Because crows genuinely do this if you feed them in your garden, and they always remember which person's house to bring things to, while nodding sagely as if you're an expert on crow behavior. Then when your mate says that they don't feed crows, say, "Oh, they must have the wrong address then." Put googly eyes on everything in their refrigerator when they are not looking. At one point when I was a middle school teacher, I bought bulk googly eyes and put them on everything. Co-workers' stuff, teachers' stuff, every phone I could find, and tons of other things. Then started rumors of a googly eye bandit among the students. Teachers would spend their whole lunch break discussing and trying to figure out which student was doing it. It was a lot of fun. I had a roommate that was a major gym nut. He would have raw eggs in his protein shakes all the time. So one day he did something to annoy me. And that night, when I had a decent buzz going, I hard-boiled all of his eggs and put them back into the refrigerator. Hide excess Pokemon or MTG cards in their stuff. Had a buddy who was finding energy cards years after the initial prank. I did that with business cards to a co-worker once. Corporate furnished us with business cards. But within a 3-month period, we had title changes, promotions, and a change in corporate logo, and I got a new box of 500 business cards each time, so only 500 of my 500 business cards were usable by the end of the 3 months. I tucked those cards everywhere in her stuff and she was finding them for years. My dad is a huge swimmer, and we had a backyard pool when I was growing up. But my dad absolutely hated cold water. He always had the pool heated to around 80-90 Fahrenheit. The electricity bill in the winter was insane. And he got mad if anyone messed with the pool heater. One year, he had a business trip to Europe and consequently got home really late the night of the 31st of March. My mom came up with the idea to buy a bunch of ice and then dump it in the pool after my dad went to bed. A bunch of our neighbors caught wind of this and offered to help, which my mom gladly agreed to. And they all brought a bunch of ice too. We left the pool thermometer out on the patio so it wouldn't register the cold water. And then we proceeded what must have been over 100 bags of ice into the pool, after turning off the heater of course. The next morning, when my dad went for a swim, we got woken to the joyous noises of a string of beautifully put together strands of swear words. Ah, the memories. Although he really upped his April Fool's game up big time after that. I told everyone at work it was the manager's birthday. It wasn't. It started spreading so fast that by the time he came in for his shift, he had about 30 people come up and wish him a happy birthday. He thought he was going crazy. When I was in college, had a guy in our dorm who used to always obsess over how many likes his post got on Facebook. Once he left his laptop open and we set his post settings from everyone to only me without him realizing, so nobody could see his posts. Went for a solid week before he realized why nothing he posted was getting any likes. When I was a kid, I would put tape upside down on people's chairs and laugh when they sat on it. Eventually, they caught on that I was sticking tape to them and would check for it when I started laughing at them. Then I stopped putting the tape there, but kept laughing like I did. They'd look for it and couldn't find it. Shorter, more recent one that was well received was writing a bunch of dated fake diary entries and hiding them places I knew they could find them. They thought the entries were the prank. But there was one I didn't write, just skipped that date. They couldn't find it. Edit. Yes, this is the same concept of the classic loose numbered pigs joke. The amount of replies I got bringing it up makes me wonder if I'm being pranked. Capital P. My friend that sits next to me at work was on vacation and my vacation started the day she got back. I packed up all my stuff and locked it in my desk drawers, and when she came back I got a panic text asking what happened and why was my desk clear. I told her I got fired. She believed it for 2 days before one of the managers made me come clean because she was trying to snag all my shifts for OT and extra holiday pay. Hire a local actor to run into you and your friend while you are somewhere and recognize you as someone famous. Have them start speaking gibberish and you answer back in gibberish before taking a selfie with them. Then have them just leave extremely excited. When your friend asks what that was all about, just say something in gibberish, and when they say what, just say oh sorry and say it was nothing, and keep the charade going until your dying day. Take a screenshot of the desktop with icons. Make it the background image. Delete the icons. If you want to be truly harmless, just move the icons to a folder in the corner. Sometimes people use specific shortcuts on their computers that may be hard to recreate. Changing around the inside part of their pens is amusing. See them briefly, think they lost their mind. Doesn't work as well on me cause I'm colorblind IA. I kept reading pens as penis for some reason. I was so confused, concerned, curious. I think I need to take a break from Reddit for a while. I spent $9 on a 1000 pack of pharmacy stickers that say for rectal use only. Got super high and stuck them everything in our house that belongs to my husband. For flavor I did it again a week later and we are still finding some. My husband hated the bag of mini cucumbers, each of his left shoes, his iPad charger, and the Exodin bottle the most. I gave the other ring of stickers to my Bill, who is a firefighter. I highly suggest. Birdseed on top of ceiling fan blades. It's even better if they don't turn it on often. Time delay prank. This one is especially good, because if they go long enough without turning on the fan, eventually the seeds will grow into birds. One time a friend of mine made a listing on Craigslist for live chickens at I guess an absurdly low price and put his friend's contact information. He got messages and calls all day about picking up the chickens. I did the same one time for free baby turtles on Kijiji. I also specifically stated in the ad that calls were preferred. My colleague glued a £2 coin outside the lab doors and surreptitiously filmed everyone attempting to acquire it as inconspicuously as possible. He then truncated the footage and imposed the "Never Gonna Give You Up" music onto the video that culminated with his raucous laughter. We all received our personal videos via WhatsApp. Change their license plate frames to something stupid or stick a student driver magnet to their car. I have often thought about doing this to a friend of mine. He is really into cribbage and there is a cribbage themed license plate frame that says "I love pegging." Makes me giggle every time I think about it. When I lived in Chicago, my grocery store was in a polished neighborhood. Used to buy piles of polished greeting cards and just mail them randomly to friends. Line up a round of shots of water and tell everyone it's tequila or some clear liquor. The facial reactions are priceless. Put a sticky note on their car that says, "Sorry for the damage. Hide in a bush and watch them look for the damage. My wife and I hang out at our friend's house every Saturday night. My friend's wife is a neat freak. I'll randomly leave bottle caps in weird places in her house every so often. Always get a text the next day with a picture of it and a WTF. In Sweden I was waiting for my turn at the counter at the pharmacy. You take a ticket and it has a number on it and that's your turn when it shows up on a board over the counter. They let you know when the number on the board goes up by playing a tune. In this case it sounded like "Do-you-do." So I was waiting and heard the "Do-you-do" sound. Looked at the board. No change. Counter people had no reaction. Other people in line looked up and were also confused. About a minute later the sound went off again. People were confused. I thought it sounded off. Twice more I figured out it was the old man next to me playing off the sound on his phone. I gave him a pat on the shoulder but didn't say anything. So much fun. This is more for the workplace. Put up a sign next to the communal printer photocopier saying something like "Due to COVID. This machine is now voice activated. Sit back and enjoy." Pal of mine had a socially awkward male cousin working at a superstore. He never fit in. Was picked on by staff and I saw it when we visited one day. I couldn't take it. I worked at a car dealership. Told my buddy bring his cousin over before he goes to work. When he did I told them I arranged for a test drive of a Murcielago. But his cousin would pull up to work driving it and I'd turn up as the mechanic come to collect it. He was skeptical at first but we convinced him. We stayed a distance off as he pulled in and parked gunning it to Anno 6's arrival. Got out and walked in. Careful to not step on the jaws on the floor. It was even more priceless when I arrived in another Lambo as his courtesy car to his great surprise and even more shocked onlookers. He drove it out after his shift. We picked him up around the corner. He said it was the best day of his life. I said, "Great. Cause we need a clerk for the dealership. Come apply. You gonna walk off that job in style next week." I wonder if it felt as good for him as it did for us. I have always wanted to take an empty mayonnaise jar that has been thoroughly cleaned, put the label back on, and fill it with vanilla pudding. Then I would go out to a public place like a park or something and sit and eat the pudding out of the jar. It would be hilarious to do that in front of a friend if they were gullible enough to actually believe you would eat mayonnaise out of the jar like that. Old keys on cheap key rings with a friend's name and phone number. Drop about 20 in random places during the day. Whenever someone leaves the cack at work we tape it to something like a ceiling fan or a wall clock. Somewhere you look for but also in plain sight. Pulled this one years ago. Went to the local Goodwill and bought 4 cheap alarm clocks. Then hid them in my, then, GF's place. And set the alarms at 2:0 am, 2:20 am, 2:40 am, 3:0 am. The morning of the 1st of April. Just to show how long ago this was. I took my phone off the hook until after I woke up. I had an alarm wake me up too once and at first I thought it was a prank and went back to sleep. Little did I know my misjudgment would prove fatal because the alarm was activated just before the accident. Every time I visit them, I find an empty corner in their house when they leave the room and just wait there smiling. This has been going on nearly 8 years at this point and I never get tired of them freaking out. Buy a pack of stick-on googly eyes. Go to friend's house. Apply to one thing and see how long it takes them to notice. Did this to a friend's eagle statuette and they didn't notice for like 2 years. Cracked me up every time I went over there.